Hello, BookTube. I think it's well past time I start a 2024 library tour. Um, so I'm going to start with my writing and art books, which are currently in a two-shelf bookcase that is a part of my desk. Now, as I've mentioned several times before, I do intend to replace my desk with two new bookcases, one to go here and the other one to go on the other wall. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with my computer or where my writing and art books will go, although I suspect most of the books, at least certainly the writing books, will probably end up getting purged at my next book purge. So, anyway, let's get going. So, first up is on writing horror. Edited by Mort Castle. So this is a book on how to write horror fiction. I got this last year from one of my cousins who was moving house and decided he did not want to take all of his books with him. So he gave a number of his books to his mother to bring with her the next time her and her sister came to visit my mother. I haven't really looked into this. Writing horror isn't a subject that I'm particularly interested in writing, and although it does have a very interesting definition of literary fiction. I think that's the one that has that. Next up is on Writing and World Building, Volume 1 by Timothy Hickson. This is a book form of the YouTube channel Hello Future Me by Timothy Hickson. So in each video, what Hickson does is he will look at and explore certain writing topics of science fiction and fantasy and will break them down and use examples of other works of science fiction and fantasy, both book as well as I think comics and occasionally manga, but also cartoons and television series. I think it's a little too broken down for my taste, and also you could basically just watch the YouTube videos for this. Um, so yeah, this is Putting the Science in Fiction, edited by Dan Cobalt. So this book looks at a number of scientific topics and how they can be put into science fiction. And so the chapters are sort of written by experts in the field. I didn't particularly like this book. This is the Little Brown Essential Handbook for Writers by Jane E. Aaron. So this is a textbook I've had since college, basically to sort of how to cite your sources and that sort of thing is its primary use, although there are other things as well. I really don't consult this anymore. Next up is Wonder Book by Jeff Vandermeer. So this is a really quirky, interesting writing guide that uses a lot of really fun breakdowns and characters to explain concepts. The one issue with this book is that Vandermeer primarily focuses on writers who want to write books in a style similar to his own, which is the new weird. This is the Fantasy Fiction Formula by Deborah Chester. This is a book primarily focusing on fantasy. It's fairly good. It has a really good character creation sheet and the admonishment to sort of put your characters through the ringer, particularly your main characters. So yeah. Next up is the Guide to Writing Fantasy and Science Fiction by Philip Athens. So this is a basic guide to how to write science fiction and fantasy. It's pretty good. Athens has been blogging for a number of years on writing topics, and I think he has just started a YouTube channel in the last year or so. This is crafting novels and short stories from the editors of Writer's Digest. I've never actually looked at this book, so I either need to do that or get rid of it. This is The Anatomy of Story by John Truby. Again, I haven't really looked at it yet, which I need to. Otherwise, I need to get rid of it. But I think it's been highly recommended by a number of YouTubers who write, particularly I think Timothy Hickson has. This is Creating Character Arcs by K.M. Wayland. I don't think I have looked at this yet. This is Dynamic Characters by Nancy Kress. This is fairly good, particularly with a character creation sheet and focusing on character development and stuff, if I remember correctly. It's been a few years since I looked at it. So this one is fairly good, I think. Next up is The Essential Guide to Getting Your Book Published by Ariel Eckstedt and David Henry Sterry. So Eckstedt and Sterry are the book doctors on YouTube, and I think elsewhere. They have a website. So basically, Eckstedt is a professional agent, and David Henry Sterry is a professional writer who specializes in nonfiction. Their YouTube channel used to be a lot more active than it is now, although that could also be because I don't think I'm subscribed to them anymore. Anyway, so I wanted to really sort of check this book out, and I haven't actually done that yet. I really need to. This is Beginnings, Middles, and Ends by Nancy Kress. I have not gotten to it yet. This is Breathing Life into Your Characters by Rachel Ballon. Haven't gotten to this one yet either. This is The Ultimate Guide to Video Game Writing and Design by Flint Dill and John Zer Platten. This is a really good intro to writing for video games, and it also has a really good character creation sheet. So yeah, this is pretty good. I've read it a few times and I really like it. This is The Elements of Style by William Strunk Jr. I don't think I've gotten to this yet. So moving on to the next shelf. I have a series of books in the Art of series, which is a series of books in which writers ruminate on a particular aspect of writing or subject in writing, and will use examples of their own work. And it's more literary criticism than advice on how to write. So I have The Art of Subtext by Charles Baxter, which is quite good. Unfortunately, the book of his that I bought and tried to read was not. The Art of Description by Mark Darley, which is also pretty good. And I actually do like his poetry. Next is The Art of Perspective by Christopher Castellani. This was really good. I've never read Castellani's work, though. And finally, The Art of Intimacy by Stacey D'Erasmo. This is fairly good, and I can't say much for what I've read of her fiction. Anyway. Rounding out the writing books is On Writing by Stephen King. So this is his memoir about being a writer and some advice on how to be a writer. I don't particularly like it, but I got this from my cousin. So next up are the art books. First up is Pastel Painting Techniques by Guy Rudin. I have so my interest in the arts are primarily in pastel, which are these sticks of color that you can use to draw or paint with. And I have a number of books on this. Also some drawing books because my creative interest as a storyteller is in comics. So I wanted to have some drawing books as well, even though I'm not terribly good at drawing. So it's a whole thing that I will probably rehash at some point in the future. But anyway, so this is a really good introduction to pastel. It has some really interesting projects that I quite like. So anyway. Next is How to Paint Portraits in Pastel by Joe Singer. So this is a pastel book from several decades ago that focuses on portraiture. And I don't know if I've ever read this or if I've just dipped into it. But anyway, but a lot of the paintings in here are really gorgeous. And then I also have How to Paint Figures in Pastel by Joe Singer as well. This is The Art of Pastel Painting by Alan Flatman. This is fairly good as well. I got it a few years ago for a Christmas present. This is Pastel Pointers by Richard McKinley. Richard McKinley is, I think, one of the major pastelists working today. This book is gorgeous and has a really excellent sort of how to get in the business of art, which you sometimes don't get. I also have Painting Brilliant Skies and Water and Pastel by Liz Haywood Sullivan, who is also one of the great pastelists working today. I love her work. She is amazing. Unfortunately, she will occasionally have some tutorials on YouTube. If she's doing a tutorial for like Pastel societies that have a YouTube presence. But yeah, her work is really good. This is Drawing Human Anatomy by Giovanni Savardi. So yeah, this is pretty interesting. This is Dynamic Figure Drawing by Bern Hogarth, which is one of the seminal books on how to draw dynamic figures, particularly for like comic art and stuff. This is Drawing the Male Figure by Joseph Shepard, which I picked up again to sort of help my figure drawing. Not that I've really done a huge amount of that. And finally, Bridgman's Complete Guide to Drawing from Life by George Bridgman, which is one of the major how-to books on drawing the figure, particularly a number of comic book artists like Dave Finch. Highly recommend this book. Let me see if that was everything. I think I have another pastel piece. No. Okay. So that was it, BookTube, of my writing and art books. I don't know how frequently these library tours will happen. My original plan today was to do a book haul. I've been slowly accumulating a manga haul that I was hoping to do today when the final two books, the final two orders came in. Unfortunately, it seems like the post office will be delivering those books tomorrow. So in addition to some tag videos, I will be doing my manga book haul tomorrow, if everything works out. So I think I will be doing these library tours whenever I have some free time or some other plans fall through. Now, some parts of this tour will be a bit more complicated because in the past what I have done is just pull the books off of the shelves and film the video wherever I currently film at. So in this situation, it would be I would have the books stacked up here, and then. But I think what I'm going to do is actually try to do these tours on location. Although in some cases that will be a bit easier said than done. And some of these shelves I will have to put some thought to. Also, my manga collection. That is going to be interesting. I'm going to do that. So anyway, and I also want to do two bookcase or sectional rearrangement videos, particularly my manga collection and also my history collection, which I think I will do when I get the bookcases in, whenever that is. So anyway, BookTube, that's all I have for you today. So until I see you tomorrow, thank you, have a great afternoon, and stay safe.